freedom, man. That's what it's all about. You've got to groove on freedom, like the good book says.
Welcome. You are listening to What on Earth is Happening. This show will discuss the topics of human consciousness, mind control, natural law, the occult, and all issues that affect the freedom of the people of Earth. What on Earth is Happening will endeavor to shine light upon the darkness of our world and to offer empowering solutions to the problems we face as humanity approaches its critical moment of choice. And now, here is your host, Mark Passio.
Welcome one and all. You're watching What on Earth is Happening. I'm your host, Mark Passio. My website, whatonearthishappening.com. Ladies and gentlemen, government is slavery. Always has been, is now, always will be until we decide to end it. And here on What on Earth is Happening, we are ending slavery one mind at a time. Welcome and thank you for tuning in today. Today is Sunday, March 3rd, 2024. This is episode number 285 of What on Earth is Happening. And as always, What on Earth is Happening is a show of cumulative information that has a lot of prerequisites of knowledge in past episodes that you will need to know and understand to truly understand and integrate the more recent episodes. So if you're a new viewer or listener to the show, you should not watch from this point forward. You should go back to episode number 1 in the podcast section of my website, whatonearthishappening.com, and you should listen and watch in order without skipping around at your own pace, and then an entirely new worldview will open up to you. That being said, today we're going to be continuing our series on the unholy feminine, Neo-Feminism, and the Satanic Epi-Eugenics agenda. Today's broadcast is part 7. If we can go over to my slides on my computer, I will go through some housekeeping announcements and then get into the subject matter for today. Thank you, as always, to Will Keller for the great title cards he provides each week. This is today's title card. Again, we're continuing to cover the unholy feminine. This is a presentation that I originally conceived and created and delivered in 2016, 8 years ago. And we are breaking it down in an extended capacity this year on the show because I feel that unfortunately the information was not truly received and integrated by not only my listening audience, my viewing audience. Some people did truly get it and understand its importance. But the public at large, this information hasn't sunk in at all. And I think the people who do listen to my work haven't really truly integrated this information fully, because if they did, they'd really be talking a lot more about this and really helping other people to understand how significant this information is. So we'll be getting to that in a little bit. Let me go through some housekeeping announcements. We are on a new 3-hour format, and this will be the format really indefinitely into the future. We'll be going, with our 3 to 6 p.m. time slot from January through June. Of course, in the second half of the year, I teach the How to Become the True Media seminar to help teach other potential content creators the technical skill set and, quite frankly, the life skill set that they really require to build in order to do work like this publicly. So we are now simulcasting on 10 platforms, and again, this will probably be the way that we will continue to do things in the future. We broadcast simultaneously on whatonearthishappening.com, on the One Great Work Network at onegreatworknetwork.com, on the following social media platforms: Telegram, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, X, Rumble, Odyssey, and DLive. How to become the True Media 2024. We're less than a month away from enrollment opening up. So I'm happy to report that enrollment's going to open Monday, April 1st. That's less than 1 month from where we're at. How to Become the True Media is an online technology skill sharing seminar. It is 23 weeks long. We meet every Monday evening from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Time. That's the actual class hours. Just a brief note about how we start. Again, this is hosted on the Telegram platform, which has been working very well for this seminar. We start 1 hour early. So I start the call on Telegram at 7 p.m. and this gives students 1 full hour to get into the classroom, the virtual classroom. And we have, some preliminary discussion and Q&A in that first hour. So really, that's like a pre-class segment, like a bonus hour. And I allow students to ask any questions that they want. Then we do formalized class instruction from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m., after which I take another hour of questions from 11 to 12 midnight Eastern Time. And then I let the class break into an informal discussion among the students. I bow out at midnight Eastern Time, and then for at least 2 more hours, usually 2.5 more hours, I will let the class run and just let the students talk amongst themselves, interact, get to know each other, network a little bit. And so that's how each Monday evening goes. This seminar takes place this year from Monday, July 8th to Monday, December 9th, 2024, for a total of 23 class sessions. There is limited space available in this seminar each year. I don't let it go over a certain amount of enrollees because I don't want it to get too unwieldy as far as, the amount of people that are in it and how many people want to interact and ask questions. So I will cap the enrollment amount of students. So don't wait until the last minute to enroll. Otherwise, it is possible you could not receive an enrollment seat. Enrollment opens Monday, April 1st, 2024 at midnight Eastern Time on April 1st. For more information, you can visit howtobecomthetruemedia.com, where I have all the information about the seminar. I'm going to step out of my slideshow briefly and go to that website. And I'm going to read the general curriculum. So this year, the enrollment donation, a private donation to enroll, is $523.93, and that will be going up next year. I will not be able to keep it at this extremely low donation amount next year. I will have to raise it by a small amount, but it stands at $523.93 to enroll. Accepted donation methods: Cash App, GPay, Wise, Zelle, 9 different cryptocurrencies, personal check, and money order. Enrollment will open April 1st, and here's the curriculum. Beginner and intermediate skill sets technologically that will be taught in this seminar include basic operating system skills, file systems and disk formatting, file and folder management, so these are organizational skills, workflow and best practices. We teach people how to delineate between lesser effective methods versus methods that will get the job done effectively and efficiently. That's called best practices in computing. Word processing and publishing, internet and networking basics, including how to set up a home LAN local area network, how to search the web, how to search and find data on what is known as the dark web, the content on the internet that is not indexed publicly by search engines, graphic design skill sets, print publishing skill sets, how to build presentations and deliver them, audio editing and publishing, video editing and publishing, live streaming, web authoring and publishing, internet sharing and collaboration, and we go over all of the hardware that is required to do this type of work. Some basic notes for the seminar. This is a private seminar open to those who make an enrollment donation, a private enrollment donation. Each private donation is for one student invitation to the seminar. Each student must enroll separately. There are no enrollment discounts. There are no enrollment plans. There's no donation plans over periods of time where you could, pay as, per month. You have to enroll with the complete private donation enrollment amount once for the entire amount. I do not have the ability to track partial enrollments. It makes things exceedingly complicated if I offer that. And if I offer it for one person, I have to offer it for everyone. So I will not be doing enrollment plans. There are no partial enrollment donations or discounts. There are no enrollment date extensions. Do not ask for date extensions to enroll. Enroll within the allotted time. I give people 3 months to enroll. That is enough where no one needs date extensions. Okay? Enrollment opens April 1st and it closes July 4th. That's over 3 months' time to enroll in this seminar if you want to take it. So please do not write for any of those things that I just talked about. Don't ask for discounts, donation plans, partial enrollments, or date extensions. I will not be giving any of those. As a matter of fact, if anyone asked for those, your request will simply be ignored. I'm not going to even answer people this year who ask for any of those things because I've stated an acceptable number of times, politely, not to ask for those things. So if I receive any emails asking for those things, they will be completely ignored. These classes are only hosted live. This is a live interactive seminar. It is not a video workshop. Okay? Do not ask for it on video. I am not recording it to give to the public. Okay? So I am not putting these things out on video. I don't intend to put these things out on video. They are private interactive seminars for those who enroll. It's a live class environment, a live virtual classroom environment. The classes are only hosted live, so if you cannot make the commitment to attend in live time, regardless of where you are at on this planet, it doesn't matter if you're on the other side of the world and it's 7:30 in the morning for you, or if you're partially on the other side of the world and it's 4 a.m. for you when we start. It's what it is. If you want to attend, you have to force yourself to make the commitment to attend. That's willpower. Maybe you have to attend from 4 to 7 and then immediately leave for work, and maybe you'll be tired at work that day. That's how it is. I am not in control of how the Earth rotates as it makes its orbit around our sun and where we happen to be on the planet at any given time. So it's live, and it doesn't matter where you're at. Don't ask for any special treatment or complain that it happens if it's 3 a.m. your time. It's what it is, and if you want to take it, you have to force yourself to enact the willpower to just get that done. And that's part of what learning about what's really going on in our world is all about. That's part of the life skill, perhaps, of persistence and willpower and not giving up and simply understanding and accepting the circumstances and working within them to change them. So that's what it is. The only technical requirements to attend this seminar is a desktop or laptop computer that can run the recent a recent version of the Telegram desktop software, available at desktop.telegram.org. Almost every modern computer will meet those requirements. It is not recommended to use a mobile device or a smartphone or tablet to attend this seminar. You should use a fully functional computer with a full operating system installed on it, whether that be Windows, Macintosh, Linux, it doesn't matter. Any operating system will do, but I highly recommend you do it on a computer with a decent sized monitor. I tell people that a modern monitor that is 4K capable, which you wouldn't need that much resolution, 2K would be sufficient, is under $200 now. And let me state that again. Any modern monitor today with decent specs that can be put into 4K resolution, which is 2160 vertical lines of resolution, 2160 vertical lines of resolution. And again, that's overkill for what's needed. Costs about $200. Now, don't get me wrong, you're not going to get the greatest spec'd out monitor on earth. It's going to be very capable, however. And you could get one of those for $200 that can hook up to any modern desktop or laptop computer. So even if you have a laptop that doesn't have a large screen, you could pick up a monitor for under $200. Probably you can get a decent monitor for around $175 today. Okay, you pick up one of those and you plug it into your laptop and you can watch the seminar on that monitor. This is not difficult, ladies and gentlemen. This should be basic common sense ability, but for most people today to simply hook up a monitor to a desktop or a laptop, and that's all that's really required. And I highly recommend that people attend and watch on a decent sized monitor. I would never attend a seminar and watch it on anything less than a 24-inch monitor. Why people want to devastate their eyesight and watch things on a 13-inch laptop monitor is beyond my ability to comprehend, when that very laptop will run a 24, 27, probably even a 32-inch monitor. There's no reason not to watch this seminar on and participate in this seminar on a decent-sized monitor, whether you want to attend on a laptop or a desktop. So I just wanted to put that out there. When enrolling for the seminar, ensure that you are entering correct and up-to-date contact information. I'm saying all these things each week because I deal with these problems every year, and there's always secret agent man and secret agent woman that want to enroll in how to become the true media, and they don't want to give their information. This is not an anonymous seminar, ladies and gentlemen. I need your real names. I need your real contact data, including your email and phone number, in case there is a problem with your enrollment, and I need to contact you. I don't want people sending me the enrollment donation using a fake name that I can't track, as far as I have to actually put this person in my enrollment for the seminar. I have to get them into the Telegram group. Me and my assistants rack our brains when things like that happen, and we can't contact you with the correct contact information. So don't enter false contact information. Don't enter assumed names. Enroll with your real name. Enroll with your real phone number. Enroll with your real email address. If you don't trust me that I'm not some government agent, I'm not in the CIA or some other fucking order follower asshole group, then don't enroll. Then if you don't trust me to that extent based on the work that I've already put out into the world, don't try to attend How to Become the True Media, right? Like, this is not a game of I don't trust you, you don't trust me, we don't trust each other, we're not trying to do the great work and really learn something. If that's your mental attitude, you don't belong in this seminar. So anybody who enrolls, enroll with your genuine information. Don't be a fucking child. Enroll with your genuine information, and don't make it a difficult process for me or my assistants. Okay? Please. And again, we have to contact you based on that information. So don't put fake data in when you enroll. After you enroll, you'll get a PDF file from us with important next steps to follow. Internet enrollment for this seminar opens April 1st, closes July 4th. If you want to enroll by check or money order, you'll have to email us to get the address to send the check or money order. That will all those instructions will be available at the enrollment page when we open the seminar enrollment on April 1st. And you can enroll by check or money order by July 1st. So that means the check or money order must be received here by July 1st. If you want to enroll via check or money order, I think that's great. Many people enroll that way. Time it so you know that the check or money order will arrive here by July 1st, which is only a week before the seminar begins. Okay? That's when check or money order enrollment closes. You have to have the check or money order arrive here by July 1st. Okay? And if you have any other questions about the seminar, you can go to howtobecomthetruemedia.com, click on the email link at the bottom, info@howtobecomthetruemedia.com. So that's everything about How to Become the True Media this year. Really looking forward to teaching this seminar again this year. This will be year number 5 that I've led the How to Become the True Media seminar. And every year I think it gets better and better. And the students are really, really, really hungry to receive this knowledge. And they ask great questions. And I think, again, this work with How to Become the True Media, I really enjoy doing in many ways, even more than what I do with What on Earth is Happening, because if these people are ready to put the information that needs to go out into the world out there, and I'm teaching them the technical skills and the life skills necessary to do that, I feel like I'm potentially creating more teachers out in the world. And that's what my goal has always been. It has not just been to horizontally try to reach people out there with the information that I put out, but it is to vertically create more teachers so that they can spread the message in an exponential way. Let me go back to my housekeeping slides and move on. The One Great Work Network is going strong with over 70 content creators at onegreatworknetwork.com. We'll be adding a new content creator to the page this week, and we will be also onboarding more content creators later this year. Check it out, onegreatworknetwork.com. Phenomenal content up there. The content creators are top notch. Please do support them as well. They all have donation pages on their blog at One Great Work Network, their content creator blog. Go to their individual blogs, and if you like their content, please make sure to donate toward them and their efforts to the One Great Work. Don't Tread on Philly's second Wednesday happy hour is a social meetup for people concerned about the loss of human freedom. It takes place the second Wednesday of every month from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Time at The Dive at 947 East Passio Avenue in South Philadelphia. This event is always free to attend. For more information on it, you can visit don'ttreadonphilly.com or simply visit the Don't Tread on Philly Facebook page that has the event calendar on it. Inquire and inspire. Let me say one thing about, let me move back for one moment on the Don't Tread on Philly happy hour. I want to put this out there to people now, and I don't know if this is going to be necessary, but I think I should briefly talk about it. The venue may need to be changed in the future. Not right away, but in several months, it is very possible that we may not be able to meet at the Dive anymore. I do not know whether that is going to happen or not. So don't take it as like, oh, we're not meeting there. We will continue to meet there each month until this possible change happens, because there is a potential new ownership of the Dive Bar in South Philadelphia. That being said, if it is kept the same format and venue, I may or not be able to continue to co-host this meetup there. If we have to move, you will hear about it here first, and I will let you know about the new venue if that is necessary. So just want to put that out there and keep that in mind. But no one should see that as we're not meeting the next month or the month after. This could be potentially, 5, 6, 7 months from now. I don't exactly know. The Inquire and Inspire documentary movie night takes place the third Thursday of every month from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. at Arnold's Family Fun Center in Oaks, Pennsylvania. Always great documentaries shown, always free for everyone to attend. For more details, visit inquireandinspire.com. The What on Earth is Happening IPFS project is ongoing. Again, I have been working on putting 5 new presentations out. And I want to let everyone know while I'm on this slide, because I want to let the people who have already helped put IPFS nodes up and those who are asking to do that, I have not been focusing on this project because of how many other aspects of What on Earth is Happening work I've been personally involved in and trying to complete. I put out 5 presentations in the last year, and those 5 presentations have to still be publicly released on my gifts area and my website. What my plan is to put all 5 out at the same time on my gifts area first, and then release them all simultaneously as well later on this year. So the 5 presentations are the real 7 deadly sins, technology's critical role in the war for freedom, government is slavery, 2 masks, same face, the dark occult origins of Nazism and communism, and why we're losing, 7 reasons the freedom movement is failing. Those are the 5 presentations, and I want to let everybody know that the videos are complete for all 5 of those presentations. All of them have been basically edited and are ready to go. What I need to do is start basically manufacturing the DVDs and the flash drives to get them ready for when I put all 5 of these on the gifts area of my website. I'm going to attempt to get them all up within the next couple weeks. Now, that's an ambitious goal to do with 5 videos in only a couple of weeks, but I think I can meet that goal if I really work hard toward it. And don't hold me to that exact quote, but let's just say certainly in the next month, these videos will all be released in gifts. I am going to put them all in gifts and put them there for 90 days exactly. After 90 days expire, I'm going to release them all publicly for free. Okay, so 5 presentations. And let me tell you something, I watched them all back. And I just want to say thank you to my video editor, Joel, for completing the edit to 2 masks. It looks great. I am ready to go with it. So 2 masks is completely edited. It looks great. It sounds great. Again, within a couple of weeks is my projection. It may take a little longer than that, but we're going to have all 5 of those videos that I just talked about, all 5 of those presentations released on gifts, certainly within 1 month's time. So, if you are interested in the IPFS project, please know I've been very, very busy with other projects, and this is still ongoing, and I will get to it after I complete some of this other work that needs to be done immediately, because I don't want these great presentations that I've already completed, I don't want them to go unreleased. So I have to take care of that first, and I will be getting back to the IPFS project a little bit later this year. Check it out at whatonearthishappening.com/IPFS for more details. Call-ins to What on Earth is Happening are taken via the Telegram platform. You can visit whatonearthishappening.com/call to enter our call-in room. We will probably have at least 3 entire call-in shows for the content for Unholy Feminine coming up a little bit later this season. ARC 2.0, the amazing repository of knowledge, is still offered and available. Tons of people have been taking me up on the ARC drive. I love to see that as well. I've been really, really busy keeping up with ARC drives this year. So keep that up, please. Keep requesting them, because everything you need to know is on this drive. You know, you will get the whole picture. You will definitely get the big picture by receiving the ARC content. It's a storage device that is 2 terabytes that you send to me, and I fill up with 26,000 audio files, over 9,500 books, and over 3,400 digital videos from my own personal archive of data that I have downloaded from the internet these many years. For more information and for shipping instructions, which I ask respectfully that people follow respectfully to protect your property and my time, you can get those at whatonearthishappening.com/ARC. What on Earth is Happening donation gifts is at gifts.whatonearthishappening.com. You can get hard copies of all of my presentations on flash drive and DVD. You can get all of the work that I have ever put out on one drive called the One Great Work Collection solid state drive. You can get men and women's t-shirts. You can get my natural law documentary. You can get ancillary promotional items like coasters, stickers, keychains, buttons, etc. There is also a technology donation section where we crowdsource fund technology items that are too expensive for one individual to purchase for What on Earth is Happening. I'm going to step out of the presentation and show you that area of donation gifts at my website. And I want to bring people up to date with the amount raised for the current item that is up there. So going back to my web browser, this is donation gifts. I'll go back to the home page. To find the technology donation section, you can click it here on the right where it says gift categories. It's at the very top. Or you can hit categories here, and then the first category is technology donations. You can click technology donations. It will show you whatever items we are looking to crowdsource fund, and then you can click that item, and this is the donation page for that item. We allow people to make donations in increments of $50, starting with 50 and then going up to 500. We cap it at 500 for a single individual donation. And this is the item we're looking to procure for What on Earth is Happening work. This is a Mac Studio for me specifically. We've raised money in the past for Mac Studios. One of them is used as the One Great Work Network video server. One of them is used to broadcast this very show that you are watching for the What on Earth is Happening studio. My Mac is now aging and showing signs of slowing down. I don't like to keep my own personal creative and office computer in a condition like that, so I feel it's time for me to move away from the Intel processing platform on Mac OS and to Apple's own silicon platform. That being said, this is a Mac Studio for my personal use. And we have now raised $4,650 out of the $6,000 goal to get this beefed up Mac Studio. I'm going to spec it out quite a bit from its standard of $1,999, and I'm going to spec it out to a $5,999 specification so that it will serve me for at least many years into the future. I hope to get maybe possibly 10 years out of this. That's a high-end estimate for modern computers. If I get about 8 years out of it, it will certainly have served its purpose. So that being said, we sit at $4,650 out of the needed $6,000 to pick up this Mac Studio. Thank you to everyone who has donated through donation gifts in this capacity. It's very, very, very appreciated, and From the bottom of my heart, I want to say thank you to everyone who has contributed. Let's move back to the slides. So that's gifts.whatonearthishappening.com. You can find all of that. If you intend instead or prefer instead to make a straight donation to assist What on Earth is Happening, One Great Work Network, and How to Become the True Media, you can visit whatonearthishappening.com/donate, the straight donation page at my website, where you can donate in a myriad of ways. Cash App, GPay, Wise, Zelle, Bitcoin, a bunch of different cryptos, check, money order, and our Amazon technology wish list. And I believe everything is gone from that wish list as well. Not sure if there was still an item on there, but I believe everything has been received. So if there is an item up there, I'm going to be taking it down after the show. But I'm pretty sure everything that we required, that were smaller technology items, has been received. So thank you to everyone who donated in any of these methods. It's very, very appreciated, and it helps all of the operations that I'm involved with continue to run smoothly. That's it. I will step out of my slideshow and jump into the Unholy Feminine presentation continued. Last week we left off talking about how the modern, conditioned, inauthentic woman, that all of the social engineering and mind control techniques that we're talking about in this particular presentation are geared toward and are directed at. And one of them is to get them to really identify as part of their personality with the state, with government, with the type of authoritarian control that government represents. So I call this state unholy matrimony. The marriage that is taking place today is not largely between men and women. It is largely between women and the state. The state acts and is acting as the proxy husband in this psychological dynamic between themselves and women. So the conditioned woman is being engineered, socially engineered, to love the state for the very small perks that they are often given by it. On a subconscious level, they have bought into the state as the protective father figure, largely of themselves, because they believe that human society would simply degenerate into violence and chaos without the so-called protective father figure, psychological proxy of the state. This, of course, is actually an expression of what has been psychologically shown to be parental abandonment issues. The inauthentic and conditioned women who are brainwashed by this type of social engineering, again, identify the state as the fatherly proxy figure, often when there have been real parental abandonment issues in their relationship, specifically with their father, not necessarily just one parent, could be both parents. And parental abandonment issues, I want to reemphasize, do not have to be physical ones, meaning actual physical absence of presence of the parental being. They can be absences psychologically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, in providing of needs for the child. If any of those elements and characteristics of the parental relationship, the parent-to-child relationship, are absent, that is a parental abandonment issue. So keep in mind, whenever I say parental abandonment issues, this does not have to mean that the parent is physically not present. They could be present. Both parents could be present, and the child still have parental abandonment issues because the parent is not providing what the child needs in a particular psychological, mental, spiritual, or emotional aspect. Emotional, spiritual, and sexual connections between men and women are being continuously eroded and eventually being worked toward eradication by the state. the state continually positions itself to be psychologically accepted as the quote provider, the quote unquote protector, and the quote unquote husband in this psychological proxy relationship between itself and women, what I call unholy matrimony. The vast majority of women in our society will not speak out against the state for these very reasons. And at any political rally, there are sometimes a decent split or breakdown, but I have particularly noticed that women are far more enraptured by the state and by politicians than even are men. It's probably about a 60-40 split. Sometimes it's more prevalent with a 70-30 split. But if you even go to political rallies, you will notice that it is always at least somewhat skewed toward the female population, the female percentage in attendance. And I would say that this is one of the actual psychological engineering, social engineering operations being waged upon women for that very reason. They are trying to reel specifically biological females into this identification with politics and the state, because they know that then that propagates directly into the familial connections, the familial dynamic, as I call it, and the family unit itself. And that's what they want. They want their hooks in that to eventually weaken and break down the familial and family bond. And then they have everybody in the exact same trap, in the exact same prison of the mind, and eventually moving toward physical enslavement. And that's the technique that is being used against women to get them to identify with the state and why that is. Another aspect of deep connection to the state and having the state's hooks inside you is the institution called marriage. And a lot of people really don't understand that all marriage is a contract with the state. That's why women in today's society seek it so much. They want the family dynamic that they wish to enter into formalized and verified and bonded by the state. They don't want it to be a direct one-to-one relationship with the man. They wish for the violence of the state to be interjected into their personal relationship so that they can extract resources if that becomes necessary to them. And again, men go along with this because they want the perks and rewards that come with, as they perceive it, with the relationship with any particular woman that they seem to become enamored with at any time during their lives. And this institution is simply a contract with the state. It is not a two-way relationship. It becomes a three-way triangle of a relationship between the man, the woman, and the state. And people who think that marriage is anything other than that are delusional. You don't understand what the institution is. You have a completely erroneous perception of what it is. You want to believe that it's some sort of simply religious ceremony. It never has been that, and it never will be that. So the formal institution of marriage is often favored by the conditioned woman, since it brings a personal relationship into union with the violence of the state, as I just described. This union with the violence of the state has been traditionally used and steered to the benefit of the female, especially when a marriage ends in a divorce. And I'm just going to take a brief aside here at that sentence to just let you know that I talked about this past year in 2023. It ended up not happening later in the year because I was so busy with the Two Masks presentation and then other personal things in my life. But last year I kicked around the idea of doing a special podcast for the Band.video platform, InfoWars' video platform. which I have a channel on, and I want to do a show that is exclusive to that platform, and I'm going to start doing that, and I've decided it will be a monthly show during the time period that I run the How to Become the True Media seminar. Okay? Now, I'm going to try to start it maybe later this year, and maybe do 3 at the second 3 months of the How to Become the True Media seminar. Maybe we'll do October, November, December, if I could get this up off the ground. The show is going to take place in my own library room here at my home. It will be a very relaxed atmosphere. I might even have subdued lighting in there where we make it like a fireside chat. And it will be always in person with another individual. So I want to let people know I'm probably going to feature this year a couple of activists from this area, and maybe someone who has specifically talked about this particular subject, who I've spoken to, and is a go for doing a podcast in that type of a setting. So I think I'm going to call it either What on Earth is Happening Conversations or Conversations with Mark Passio. I think that's probably the one I'll go with. It'll just be called Conversations with Mark Passio. And I wanted to take a very conversational vibe and just get the feel for what people do, what their efforts are, and whatever topic we want to discuss. So this particular topic, which is divorce and divorce courts, may be featured on one of those upcoming podcasts later this year. So the violence of the state, entering into union with that, has traditionally been seen by the conditioned female as a benefit that they receive, because if things don't go well in the relationship or the marriage, they can then use the state apparatus of violence to extract whatever resources they see fit, and use the state's violence to do that, whereas they would not be able to do that on their own, because most women would not engage in that type of coercion and violence. Number one, more likely than not, because they simply would not have the physical prowess to do something like that. So this is why the state is loved by the modern conditioned female. It acts as their ability to perform violence. And again, people can disagree with that all they want. I've said it and put out the truth of the matter in a respectable way, where I know it to be true, and anybody who really truly understands the institution called marriage knows that to be true. Anybody who really understands what it is and isn't mind controlled by the types of fanciful and romantic delusions and euphemisms that are brought into play when it comes to marriage. It is a violent intercessor between the relationship between a man and a woman. That's all marriage is and ever has been. So for the people that want to fall for that, go ahead and see it as some romantic, lovely design of some kind, when it is in fact bringing the violence of the state into a relationship. And that is exactly what Satanism wants to do. It wants to have its hooks in everything. This is part of the whole satanic agenda. This is part of inversion of everything. This is part of the injection of violence into everything. So, again, this desire to bring violence into the relationship by the state, desired by women, is especially true when a marriage ends in divorce. Over 80% of all divorces are initiated by women. Mostly because real world men don't live up to their programmed expectations. See, all of the psychological and social engineering is geared toward women to get them to see no man is good. No man is good enough. Men are not good enough. Men are not worthy. And then when they do settle down into a relationship with a man, it's like everything has to be a state of perfection. Everything has to be exactly according to the expectations built up mentally in the mind, in the psyche, largely because of the social conditioning that the conditioned female has received. And almost all real world men will not live up to that built up social programmed expectations. And so 8 out of 10 marriages, the woman initiates the divorce, the socially engineered, conditioned woman. Divorce courts rule drastically in favor of women over 95% of the time. Now, over 95% of the time. That means that at the time in 2016, when this presentation was conceived, made, and created, the actual percentage was between 95 and 96% of all divorce cases are ruled in favor of the woman. Between 95 and 96% of all divorce cases are ruled in favor of the woman, and 8 out of 10 women initiated those proceedings in courts. I am going to tell you that that number is probably up from the year 2016. So I'm going to tell you it's probably now well over 80% of divorce cases are initiated by women, and it's probably up at least 1 to 2 percentage points of how many are ruled in favor of women. And once again, if you don't think this is the case, go and research it, go and study it. Try to take your head from out up your ass and try to really understand what's really going on here. And once again, this is not beating up on females. This is an expose and an analysis of social engineering that is geared toward females and why women have to get their head out of this satanic cage. This is a cage for the mind. All of these things are cages for the mind. I just want to say that if I'm a little bit moving a little more slowly today, if I'm a little bit subdued today, just want to let people know I attended a pretty intensive martial arts seminar yesterday, and because I just talked about this idea that these institutions are cages for the mind and these tactics are an actual prison for the mind, I just want to say that during the course of the seminar yesterday, it was a great seminar, by the way, there's aspects of it that I still, in general martial arts today, find troubling. That is that, number one, they will train anybody if they're offered money. That's it. If they're given the money to attend, they'll train anyone. There is no vetting done. There is no looking at moral character of individuals. They will train people in the state, institutions, including the police and the military, etc. And to me, that's like going up to someone who you know has a very high potential of robbing you, has a high potential of committing violence onto you, who has in the past done theft and violence and could very easily move on to then do those very violent behaviors to you, and you keep buying weapons for them. I mean, literally, that to me, that's what that is. You saying, I'll give all of the secrets, all of the training, etc., to people who are potentially going to use that for completely immoral and violent purposes against their fellow men and women, you might as well go and heavily arm the nearest criminals to your home. My take on it. And the instructor put a bunch of, because it's a seminar that was about being able to flow and adapt, and that's what martial arts should be about. That's properly done by the instructor. The instructor put on a whiteboard a bunch of different martial arts styles. Muay Thai, Taekwondo, Karate, kickboxing, Jiu-Jitsu, on and on. And he surrounded them all with a box around them, a rectangular box around the name. And he said most people's mentality in martial arts is this. They go and they say, I'm going to learn everything there is to learn about Muay Thai. I'm going to learn everything there is to learn about Taekwondo. I'm going to learn everything there is to learn about Jiu-Jitsu. And then they stay there. They learn that style. They think that style is the complete totality of martial arts, or the most important aspect of martial arts. And they basically say to themselves in their own mind, that's all I need to know. That's all I need to learn. And he described that approach quite correctly as it's a box for your mind. It's a box for you to just have narrow-minded vision, close your mind off to everything else, and say, this is all there is. And that's why Bruce Lee did a phenomenal thing with Jeet Kune Do, the style that he created and taught, which wasn't a style. It was a styleless aspect of martial arts where you do not lock into a style. So it rightly shouldn't even be called a style. It's an adaptive, free-flowing, styleless approach. You can't even call it a form because it's formless. It's doing what you can do with your body. It's doing what works. It's adapting to an opponent, even if they're more skilled or larger or stronger or even faster. And it's being smart about how to go about an encounter with strategy. Now, I have no problem with that as it's taught. But again, coming back to this, people think of institutions, and it's no different than the way people think about a particular martial arts style. They get locked into a box for their consciousness, and they see it as, no, this institution is completely necessary. We need marriage. We need police. We need the monetary system. We need the military. And all it is a different form of getting locked into a box for your mind. And this is what I would really like to see, and what I think needs to be taught in the martial arts community, is that this isn't just about getting your mind out of the box of a particular martial art. It's about getting your mind out of the box for everything. And this is what people have a problem with, because they've made this their identity. They've made this the thing that they believe is true no matter what. And it's not. It's just another way to deceive and enslave you. That's all it ever has been. That's all it ever will be. And you can get as butthurt and offended about that as you want. What I'm saying is still going to be true. Once again, I will tell you when I'm conjecturing about something. I will tell you when I have definitively and accurately identified the facts of the matter, vetted by the trivium method of truth discovery, and then I'm simply putting that analysis and those findings out there as facts. This presentation does not contain conjecture. This is fact-based as vetted and verified by the trivium method. So, think about it however you want. What I'm putting out here is still the truth, and if you don't think so, you're wrong. And that's what we have to start saying to people. We have to start outwardly telling people, you are under mind control. You have been taught this to latch onto it as your identity and to let that be a prison for your consciousness. And unto the death, my mind is staying right here. Even though it's never done anything good for you. It's never accomplished a thing. It's always created more division. It's always created more chaos. It's always created more death and destruction. And people can't come out of it because what Satanism ultimately is, and that's what this presentation all comes back down to. These are aspects of Satanism, aspects of the satanic mindset. It all comes back to people not being able to say the biggest and most powerful magical phrase, the most powerful magical phrase that has ever been uttered in the universe. Again, this is not the lost word. This is the lost phrase. There's the lost word, which is no. We don't want to say no to evil. We have to take our power back through the word no by not complying, by saying no to evil no matter what it offers us. That's part of this, right? We have to say the most powerful phrase. What I'll term this, I will coin this term, the lost phrase. Okay? We have the lost word, which is no, and it's all about saying no to evil. And now we have the lost phrase. And the lost phrase in our whole civilization is, I was wrong. That's the one you hardly ever hear, and it has become lost to our civilization and specifically to Western satanized culture. The people out there listening saying, Mark, you can't be right about that. That's not what marriage really is. Well, guess what? Whether it was originally intended to be something else or not, that's what it is today, boys and girls. That's what it is right now, in the present moment, here on planet Earth. And if you don't think so, once again, you better learn the lost phrase, because you're wrong. And you don't want to admit it, because it's wrapped up in your identity. And that's your mind control showing. You know, it's like, oh, your panties aren't showing, your underwear's not showing, your bra's not showing, your bald spot's not showing, whatever. Okay, your mind control is showing. That's what's showing. You know, you better tuck that in, or better yet, get rid of it. Get rid of it, because it's not serving you. It's not serving what you say you want to do. It's not serving the cause of human freedom. It's not serving truth. It certainly isn't serving anything you say you want. You know, we say we want these things, then we do the exact opposite. We latch onto the exact opposite idea, psychologically and conceptually. And then we wonder why we don't get what we say we want. We don't even understand the requirements for getting the things we say we want. We don't know the real law of attraction. So, divorce courts rule in favor of women over 95% of the time. And people still believe this institution is somehow a good thing. Divorce rates will predictably continue to rise astronomically as long as conditioned women remain attached to the types of unrealistic cultural expectations they have regarding relationships. Completely unrealistic expectations that are culturally, socially engineered into their minds. These expectations are part of the quote-unquote no man is good enough for me princess programming, because, you know, you got to make a couple million a year, you got to pamper the female, they have to basically do hardly any of any real true work, and you know, be taken care of like you know, a daddy would spoil a daughter. You know, would spoil a daughter infected with princess programming. This is part of not wanting to psychologically truly grow up and truly mature in a psychological, emotional, and ultimately spiritual capacity. Money and the maintenance of lifestyle is almost always valued above emotions, feelings, and moral issues in modern relationships. Let me say that again, because that's a powerful sentence right there. Money and the maintenance of lifestyle is almost always valued above emotions, feelings, and moral issues in almost all modern relationships. It's a situational deal. That's what most of the time, not only relationships are, but a significant chunk of the time, that's what marriage is about. Marriages are situations of convenience for either one partner or often both. It's a convenience situation, not something that is truly desired and shared emotionally, spiritually, and especially morally on the part of both participants. That's the problem. That leads to the problem of why do we have such shit parents in the world? that aren't teaching children morals, that aren't teaching them true values, that aren't teaching them principles, that aren't teaching them the natural law, that aren't teaching them objective morality. They're not teaching them not to become an agent of the state or government at all, or not to believe in authority. No, we have crap for parents because this is what people believe a relationship to be. Then you look at divorce and see how it completely separates children from a masculine figure in their lives, teaching half of society that masculinity is toxic and then projecting that down into the children when children are often separated from their father, and almost always family courts rule in favor of women. Well over 95% of the time. That's why so many children grow up fatherless with no masculine influence in their lives, and that's what this satanic Neo-Feminism agenda is all geared to do and serve. It is geared to get the children away from any masculine influence, and it's geared to get them cucked to the state because they won't say no because they don't have that sacred masculine dynamic within them. And certainly the father's not instilling any aspect of that, whether he even knows it himself, which is unlikely because the same thing's been done by his parents to him. And, even if he does, he's separated from the children, who are often, full custody is often, most of the time, given to the woman. See, this is why, first of all, so many marriages end like this because people don't even understand what a true relationship is. And once again, I emphasized this a couple of years ago on What on Earth is Happening. And again, I don't think people still understand it. A true relationship is not a one-to-one linear dynamic between two people, regardless of their biological gender. It is also a triangle. See, you have to understand that the state, as a matter of fact, I'm going to draw this for people, okay? I'm stepping out of the presentation. I'm going to make another one. It's that important. I'm going to draw it on the fly, okay? So let's make a new presentation, and you'll see some presentation building on the fly, okay? So let's do it real simple. So I'll take the guy here, all right? Paste him in there. Let's make it a little bigger. Okay? Let's take the woman from here. Try to clip the kids out of it. I'm just going to show, and it doesn't even matter. The kids can even stay in there. Let me just drop it, mask it. Let's just say it's just the woman. Okay? All right, so let's make guy. Good. And we'll center them. All right. Now, this is what people imagine that a relationship is. I rarely do things on the fly like this, but I think it's interesting. It'll be interesting, okay? Let's make a arrow and put arrows at both ends and thicken it so we could see it real nice. And we'll just point this between the man and the woman. Okay? So, this is what most people believe a relationship to be. They think it's a one-on-one dynamic, a one-on-one energy flow between a man and a woman, a man and a man, a woman and a woman, doesn't matter. Okay? That is not a true, genuine, lasting relationship. Not. I don't care what anybody says. There is no such thing as this. This is an illusion and a delusion. There's no such thing as a direct one-to-one true relationship. You can use the word relationship, but it's dysfunctional. And it's always going to be dysfunctional. This will always be dysfunctional. Okay? No matter what you believe. Let me explain why. If there is only this connection, and first and foremost, you have not put first things first. You have not created a one-to-one connection at the individuated level to principles and truth. Then no other relationship bond can truly be formed between any other individual and that first individual, the self. So let me get rid of this one between them, and let's put one right here above the guy, okay? And we'll point it toward, let's just call this, we'll make a shape here, okay? And we'll call this source, truth, principles, etc. Okay? And then it could go into morality, etc. All right? So just let's call it that. We'll put it right in the middle of the slide. Let's get this arrow shortened like that. So now this one individual has formulated that relationship. Okay? If this person then even attempts to make a connection to this person, and they have not first and foremost created their own connection to source, truth, principles, morality, etc., that relationship is also completely dysfunctional and can never really truly work. It's still a delusional attempt at a real relationship. See, this is, and I'm leading to something here that directly relates with this last slide that I was going through, okay, about the chasm between men and women largely brought on by the state, and why marriage is really a delusional institution to believe in, almost always leads to divorce. That's almost always initiated by the conditioned, brainwashed female in the relationship. That's almost always going to end in favor of the woman as ruled by the divorce courts. Okay? We're going to get to why that is. Now, a true relationship can only exist when this is done first. Can only exist when this exact thing is done first. Okay? There has to be a direct connection first, between ultimate guiding principles and each individual in the relationship. If there's 5 people in the relationship, you have to have 5 direct connections to source, truth, principles, morality first. If there's 100, you got to have 100 connections there first. Everything has to go back to guiding principles first. That's why they're called principles. Principles come, the word principle in the English language is etymologically derived from the Latin noun principia, which is plural. It means the first things, the chief things, the most important things, the things that must be put first. Principia, where our word principles comes from. If principles are not put first, every subsequent relationship is dysfunctional. No matter what you believe, what you think, it doesn't matter. This is what a real relationship must be based upon and look like. It is a triangle. It is a triangle. And that is the equation right there. That's the triangular bond between the man and the woman. They have to first make that connection to source, truth, principles, and morality. Then the familial bond, okay, so this is the individual bond that has to come first. Not sure why that is going so low. Give me a moment to just figure that out, folks. All right. So this is the individual bond. Let's make it a little bit smaller in text size. I could write a little bit more on there. That's small. Let's make that come up to the first line. Okay. That's good. Let's copy that here. Excellent. Now, let's bring this here. This is the relationship bond. There we go. That's about as simple as I can make it. And I think that should make very clear sense to people. Okay? So the individual bond to source, truth, principles, and morality must come first. This is the absolute hallmark of what is known as a genuine relationship. All right? And you know what, folks? I like this approach. Guess what? I'll tell you what. This is going to be a method of how I will expand the subject material as part of this extended version of this presentation. We'll do things like this. Not every week, but maybe when things strike me that I feel like I really should explain it as clearly as possible, we'll do this. All right. Now, again, the topic that we're on is marriage, divorce, and divorce courts, and specifically the violence of the state being interjected into the relationship. Now, you can call all of this anything you want to call it, but it really ultimately comes down to a one-on-one relationship to the Creator. Okay? So, once again, call this whatever you want to call it. You can call it source, right? You can call it, the underlying intelligence of the universe. Doesn't matter what you call it, okay? But this circle here represents the creator of the universe. It represents all of the laws of the universe. It represents the genuine power inherent to nature. Call it nature if you want. This is God, nature, creator, okay? So, let's put that on there. For some people who don't like to use the term God, I'll put it in quotes. You can use that if you want. Some people will use the term nature. That's fine by me. To me, it doesn't matter. It's the same thing. So you can call it anything you want to call it. And just for the sake of, so we'll put in here. I'll just drop it here. This is creator. I prefer the term creator myself. That is the relationship model, okay? If you don't form this relationship first, by any name you want to call it, the relationship is doomed to be dysfunctional in the future. Doomed, okay? Let's make this centered. A little bigger. Let's color it. Yeah. You're getting a little how to become the true media lesson in real time. Okay? That's a genuine relationship, ladies and gentlemen. What does the state want to do? And maybe the people who have truly been listening and are good students have already figured it out. Let's make a new slide. Let's duplicate the slide. Okay? What does the state want to do? The state wants all of this wiped out. That's what the state wants. So, there's really no individuated bond to source or truth. And this I'm going to call the Satanic relationship. And dysfunctional relationship bond, and let's make this a broken line. Okay? And let's get a representation of the state up here. So I'll search in Google Images for capital. Let's get this one. This up here. Let's get put that in a similar circle. That works. There we go. Okay. The state, the government authority and all this really is violence. You can call that whatever you want, but I'll call it what it really is, which is violence and slavery. Okay? This is the Satanic relationship. And almost all people in the world are locked into this relationship through the institution called marriage. The state wants each individual bonded to it, because what has it just usurped the place of? It has just usurped the place of God. They want the bond between the individual forged to the state instead of to God, instead of to the Creator, instead of to nature, instead of to the laws of the universe, instead of to truth, instead of to principles, instead of to morality. So this is an actual bond that is a individual satanic bond. As is this one. They are the same. And those will be forged, and then there will be this completely dysfunctional relationship bond. And let's put it over here too. It's not a relationship, and it's not a bond. So there we go. I will add those two slides as addendums to the presentation slides this week. That is the Satanic relationship that is forged by the Neo-Feminism and Satanic Epi-Eugenics agenda. That's part of the unholy feminine that the conditioned woman seeks, the conditioned woman wants. The conditioned woman wants to continue to happen because it bonds everybody involved in the relationship to the violence of the state, which the conditioned woman subconsciously desires. They won't recognize it as violence because they don't understand that's all the state ever is and does and can do. Bring this one over a little. There we go. Okay? So I hope I've made it clear what a real relationship is versus what the relationship brought on by the institution called marriage actually is. And the key thing to keep in mind there is there's no genuine connection to the source, to truth, to principles, to morality. Instead, that has been usurped, satanically inverted, and replaced by the state, by government, by authority, by slavery. I hope people are getting it, folks, because you know what? You better get it pretty quick, and you better spread it pretty quick. Because we're in a lot of trouble, boys and girls. A lot of trouble. And we're in even deeper trouble because people still believe this nonsense. They still believe this is necessary, and they still believe that this is some kind of an illusion or something that doesn't exist. This is not necessary. This is buying into evil. This is buying into control. This is accepting violence as justifiable and morally legitimate. There's nothing good about this. This is the state usurping the place of God in people's lives. This is a genuine relationship. Get it clear in your own mind. Get it clear in your own mind. All right, let's move back to the original slides. So, money and the maintenance of lifestyle is almost always valued above emotions, feelings, and moral issues in modern relationships. Such a system is institutionally structured to break down the strength of both genders and therefore negatively impact future generations. Once again, because the children are going to be separated from the masculine fatherly influence in their lives, even if the parent provides that dynamic, the male provides that dynamic, and then they're going to be raised by conditioned women who see the state as the husband at that point forward. And they thought that before. That's why they want to lock the man into the contract with the state, which is implied violence. But then certainly after the divorce, after that follows, then they are really seeing the state, who could be providing assistance, who could be negotiating the entire divorce, etc. They're seeing that as daddy. They're seeing that as the father figure, the proxy husband and father of the relationship. Next, let's move on to the idea of what people find attractive. And again, this is subjective, but as we will see, men and women respond completely differently when it comes to what they find attractive in a potential physical partner, potential mate, etc. And it's skewed drastically. And this is not because of biology. It is not because of evolution. Okay? It is because of social engineering. This is nothing, no dynamic that you pick in nature has rigid points of interest, rigid points of value. It does not display like some linear, crazy, mountainous graph if you're talking about something that occurs in nature. Nature doesn't have hard angles like that. You could say, okay, there are aspects that it has that, but ultimately they're curves and fractals. That's what you find in nature. And when we look at the difference between appraisals of attractiveness that have been done, and since this time period, many more of these types of studies have been done. And I'm telling you, they're becoming not less skewed, but far more skewed as time goes on. Again, that's not because of what is then biology changing? Is evolution changing out there, people? Is that what's happening for all the people that say this is just female biology? Hold on, let's bring up the expert in the field. We actually have him on hand. Here is the expert in the field. Here he is. Ladies and gentlemen, the idea that women are much more selective in a potential partner than a man is because of their biological properties and because of human evolution. That's the reason that they think almost all males are unattractive, and, men have a very non-skewed graph and chart when it comes to that, and they follow a more natural progression. But this crazy skewed idea of why women find things attractive is because of evolution and biology. Fucking morons is what people are, quite frankly. Oh, and by the way, folks, I just have to say thank you to Steve for coming up with this great graphic that I asked for. This is, the freedom movement. We're winning. We're beating the dark occultists. We're winning. See, because we don't know the dynamic of social engineering and why people think the way that they think and how they've been conditioned that way for tens of thousands of generations, and people are born into a satanic brainwashing structure that teaches them all of their so-called values, beliefs, opinions, likes, dislikes, preferences, whims, etc. That's why we're winning, because people really have figured that out, and they know the difference between true nature and social engineering and mind control. Yeah. They know that like the back of their hand, like that they're just going to spit that essay out on the exam. And they just know it through and through, balls to bones. Sure they do. Yeah, that's why our society's in such good fucking shape, don't you know? It's just in great fucking shape. Because we know the things we need to know. We're winning. We're finding out how we're ruled. We're winning. We're learning all about the mind control methods in social engineering. We're winning a big bag of fucking dog shit is what this fucking so-called species is winning. All the fucking morons out there saying this phrase, we're winning. You're getting your asshole turned inside out is what's happening in the real world fight you're in. We're winning. You don't even know you're in a fucking fight, losers. That's how much you're winning. You're getting your ass clobbered to fucking death, and you're sitting there saying, we're not even in a fight. You don't even know you're in a fucking fight, and you're getting beaten to death. We're winning. That's who's saying we're winning. Ralph Wiggum picking his fucking nose into his fucking brain. That's who's winning. The morons that are out there that I deal with, that write to me, that think they're right, your IQ is like fucking 4, literally 4. Mine is 154. So I think there's a little bit of a difference to my ability to recognize reality than these fucking losers out there telling me I'm wrong. No, I'm not wrong. I have the fucking endless hours under my belt to learn the fucking truth through data, through endless data. And you got an ill-informed, ill-read fucking moron opinion given to you by the very social engineers who own your fucking ass, loser. That's what you got. Now, I'm not here to be falsely humble, like I've said through the last many weeks. I'm going to tell you what I fucking know and the hard fucking effort that it took to win that knowledge. These fucking morons who want to think you're winning somebody's favor by telling you, I know that I know nothing. Yeah, you do know nothing. That's the fucking problem when you have that attitude. People who know something should acknowledge that they know it. And they should also acknowledge when things are truly bad. and not sugarcoat it and not tell people a lie and make them feel good like we're winning. We're not winning. We're getting our asses beat to death. We're winning. Your head's a fucking pile of beaten mush. It looks like somebody pounded out a fucking raw steak with a hammer. That's what your fucking face looks like. You're getting beaten so fucking bad. But you're winning, all right. Yeah. Fucking morons. In these types of attractiveness studies that have been conducted, this is all absolute asinine morons believe, is that this is because of biology. Yeah. Nothing in nature is skewed like this at hard angles and extreme levels of being off from a natural progression. And if you study probability and statistics, and if you study fractals, and if you study the types of statistical studies that you would need to understand to even be able to look at and analyze charts like this that I'm going to show at the bottom, you would know that this isn't a natural progression, that this is something that is inspired artificially through mind control and social engineering in this case. Studies that have been conducted to appraise men and women's perceived attraction show that men are attracted to a far greater number of body types and overall physical features than are women. And no, that's not biological. No, that's just not a characteristic separation of the sexes. That is a socially engineered phenomena. When shown thousands of images of females with very diverse sets of physical characteristics, the average amount of women that men perceive as physically attractive is shown to be approximately 8 out of 10, 80%. Women, on the other hand, when shown thousands of images of males, also with extremely diverse sets of physical characteristics, were attracted only to an average of less than 20%, not even 2 out of 10, less than that. I believe the numbers were approximately 18.5%. So between 1 and 2 men out of 10 are even seen as attractive at all by almost all women. When over 8 out of 10 women are perceived as generally attractive by men. That is not biological. A natural progression might be a little bit more than 50% on each side, or if it were truly natural and one side really showed a higher level of perceived attraction, then it would about equal on each side. It might be 70 and 70. It might be 75, 75, 80, 80, even 65, 65. The progression should look the same when you chart it. When you actually put it on a chart, it should not look drastically different physically on the chart. It should still be a simple bell curve progression. It should not be a skewed logarithmic or exponential progression, or it should not be a skewed linear wacky progression like what we're seeing here. Whenever you see those hallmark characteristics of something being completely angular, skewed, dropping precipitously, going completely exponential in one way or another, you can almost guarantee that's manipulation, that's mind control, that's social engineering. Almost always. With rare exceptions to the rule when it comes to psychological dynamics. So, these charts at the bottom mean that when men are looking at images of women, there's a natural progression to what they do and don't find attractive. On the right-hand side, you can see that, and again, you just look at it like, those are judged as the very least attractive. it's like 5%. And then the very most attractive is about 5%. And then it meets in the middle with average attractiveness being gauged. It's comprises about 20% of the images that they were shown. That's a very natural bell curve shaped natural progression that you find in nature, in things that are natural. On the other hand, when women were shown these thousands of images of men, you can see that almost all are shifted and skewed into the least attractive category. That means when they're showed the images, they say very unattractive, very unattractive, very unattractive, very unattractive, very unattractive. And then like maybe 1 out of 10, I find that person very attractive. Maybe 2 out of 10, or even less. As you can see, it's almost 0% at the most attractive. It's completely off the chart. You could barely graph it. It would go into the negative category if it could, into the below the axis if it could. Okay, so you're seeing the very most attractive 5 is 0%, hardly any. When you get to the medium, just follow the line up, right? Go to medium, which is at 2.5 on the right-hand graph. Follow that right up. It's still under 15%, or even in medium category. Almost all of them are at least attractive, 0. Over 30%, and then to the complete left, almost 25, still above 25%. And we believe that's biological imperative. Women are so concerned about the look of their children and so concerned about eugenics characteristics. That's just how nature provided it, and that's just a natural biological response. See, and do you know who the people who think that more than anybody else? Dumb fucking men. You guys, most of you guys out there, you are dumb bags of fucking dolt dog shit. You're dolts. You're complete fucking dolts. And you're played. You're fucking played. You're getting hit by all of the fucking weaponry of this agenda. And you still don't even acknowledge it, let alone deeply understand it, because you're a fucking brains for dog shit for brains, man. You gotta wise the fuck up and you gotta become holistically intelligent, because you're getting your face beat to mush in this fucking war for the mind. That's why you can't fucking think. That's why you can't put 2 and 2 together. That's why you can't figure this fucking dynamic out, because you're dumb as a bag of dog shit. You can't even look at this and immediately see that's satanic engineering. You fucking losers. I gotta calm down, because when I just think of what people say to me and how fucking dumb they are, it's a never-ending source of upset for my peace of mind, because even if it were changing a little bit, more people would get this. I would hear more about, oh my God, they're so fucking trying to brainwash fucking people. And the people who don't want to believe it are the people who are the most affected by it. You're being basically told you're fucking some kind of fucking troglodytic fucking parasite. And then you're immediately picking up and saying, that's nature. Nature does that. I mean, you might as well just fucking off yourself. You might as well just fucking, say, what am I bothering to even stick around fucking for? Oh no, because then the next thing these dumb fucking moronic so-called men do is go live their lives in a fucking video game world or fucking fantasy sports. Because all your fucking power's cut off. You fucking morons. And you can't even see who's doing it. The people who own your fucking dumb monkey ass are doing it. You fucking morons. This planet is just full of nothing but shit apes calling themselves human beings. And let me tell you something, men are some of the dumbest among them. Because they keep falling for the same social engineering tactics that are fucking weakening them above all else and turning them into dumb fucking cucked out bitches. Think about how skewed this is. Just look at the progression. How you do it. You go out along the bottom axis and then you go up. So if you want to find in men looking at thousands of images of women, how many did they find of average attractiveness? Go out on the line, on the graph, the horizontal axis, start at 0, go over to the middle where it says medium, then you go straight up. And you read the number to the left of the graph, 20%. You see it? Okay? Here, I'll point to it. I'll take this out of playing mode. Okay? To find out how many women were found by men to be very attractive, go out along the bottom axis first. Right here. See it? Most attractive. Then go up. It's just above 5%. Let's say 6%. Okay? So if you're looking at the edges, right? Let's start by looking at the edges. 6% were found to be the least attractive. 6% found to be the most attractive. It builds in a steady bell progression up to about the 20% mark at medium attractiveness. Right? Okay? And I'm being told there's no cursor coming through. So I'll just put... It's all right. I'll just go back to full screen. I'd have to put my cursor through in the capture program I'm using. No worries. I'll try to do that next week. Then go to the female side of appraisals of male attractiveness through photos that they were shown. And if you want to find how many were medium, go out from 0%, go right across the horizontal axis, go to medium, go up from there. You go straight up. And it's somewhere between 10 and 15%. Let's call it 12.5%. So even medium, you're not reaching a medium. A perfect bell-shaped curve would probably hit around the 20% line. Or maybe even a little higher. Okay? A smooth bell curve like we're found in the men starts at about 5 or 6% and progresses through 20. Instead, you're bunching all of the data up against the left side. Then it precipitously drops off like a mountain slope. Where you're starting at least attractive is already above 27%. And then, around, where you would not even have one yet, like let's say 0.75, you're above 30 at about 31, 32%. That means half the population, as seen by women, isn't even at the 1/4 line of this horizontal axis. It hasn't even made it to medium. Medium attractiveness drops down to 12.5%, and most attractive is at completely 0. It drops down completely to nothing. But that's a natural progression according to dumb, dolt, dog shit brains men. Your dumb, dolt, dog shit brain. That you should just make a t-shirt for yourself and just wear it proudly out into the fucking public. Dumb, dolt, dog shit brain. Wear it with pride. You earned it. The men out there who believe that's a natural progression and biological and Darwinian evolutionary based, you should go and print that fucking t-shirt for yourself and wear it with pride every fucking day in public. All right? Because you are a dumb, dolt, dog shit for brain, cucked punk bitch. And you know nothing about what your fucking masters and owners have done. You don't know what they've done to your ignorant ass self, let alone what they've done to women. And they have destroyed you both. Almost everybody in society, they've destroyed. Almost everybody, because they destroyed them fucking here first. You didn't get this one. You didn't get this one. And I know that sticks in your fucking craw. Just like you telling me I wouldn't be able to fucking morally educate these dumb fucking dolts, sticks in mine. Well, you ain't ever gonna get this one. Know that. You might get everybody else, but you ain't ever getting this one. Such attractiveness studies demonstrate that women have an extremely limited range of characteristics which they find attractive in men. And again, these are conditioned women. The modern conditioned woman has been given, through the social engineering they've received since birth, the skewed perception to find almost every man unattractive. The drastic difference in the bell curve on these studies shows the blatantly skewed and unnatural divergence in women's preferences versus the smooth, naturally occurring median curve of men's preferences. The problem is that most morons in the world wouldn't be most morons calling themselves humans, which are just dumb shit apes, would not be able to figure this out because they don't have any mathematical training or capability. They don't even know how to read a fucking graph. They're so dumb. They couldn't read this fucking graph, let alone understand what it means. Then they buy into the Darwinian hypothesis by that fucking joke. And all the fucking jokes who believe his bullshit. That this is just biological and this is just how evolution works. Because women are trying to be selective about who they breed with. No, moron. Satanists gave them their mind. Moron. That's the reason. Satanists gave them their mind. And they gave you yours. See, some people have reclaimed what was taken from them early on. They recognized something was missing and off and taken, and they took it back. And most of you fucking weaklings out there haven't done that yet. Because you're weak here, and that makes you weak everywhere else. And people can say whatever the fuck they want. Strength here translates to strength everywhere. The mind precedes all and can conquer all. And the problem is, we've let it become completely fucking ill. We've let it become poisoned. We've let it become delusional. We've let it become captured. The men's results on these graphs show a natural selective preference, while the women's results display an artificially inflated selectivity that is indicative of socially engineered perceptions. Of course, many dumb, dog shit for brains, mud apes out there will incorrectly attribute this divergence to so-called Darwinian, so-called evolution, and so-called survival theory. No, it is not. You are incorrect. You can believe that until your dying breath and you will still be wrong. If you really study what this is attributed to and you really understand the reason they want it this way is because they can simply keep this satanic perception operating within females. And then they're having them go after a very, very, very small percentage of males, often of whom are the most brainwashed themselves, and they perpetuate the mind control cycle and the abuse victim cycle. It's so blatant. It's literally like a truck coming at your face. And yet, only a very, very small percentage of people in our society are even intelligent enough to see it. And then they will fight that, no, this is natural. God made it that way. Science made it that way. Nature made it that way. It's just how things are. Well, just how things are is you're pretty fucking dumb, son. You're pretty fucking dumb, girl. Here's how it really is. Here's how it really is. Here, get a good look at old Fred, because he'll tell you. You're just dumb, son. You're just dumb. That's all it really is. You don't have the fucking gray matter power. That's all it really is. Just dumb as dog shit. You know? I love that shirt. I love the one that I have that has that on it. It's just one of my favorite memes because it's just somebody telling it to somebody else just how it is. Not sugarcoating it, just telling them. And that's conquerable. You got to work at it, though. To become truly holistically intelligent, you can start as being a dumb as dog shit mud ape. And eventually, you can build your mental prowess and you can rise out of that condition. But you got to work at it. Everybody wants to just work on their physical self, you know? This is why I find martial arts lacking. It's not enough about philosophy. You're going to teach physical prowess, you're going to teach physical combat methodologies, and you're not going to tell people that government is violence, government is slavery. You're going to train people who support and uphold government and their agencies. That's not martial arts. That's training somebody in potentially deadly methodologies for money. I think we should really not even blaspheme the concept of the martial arts, which is the masculine principle of natural law, the self-defense principle, by even calling it martial arts in the state that it's in today. And, you know, I just want to... I know I've been belaboring on this because it's really been in my mind and it's really been twisting like a fucking knife in my gut for months and months and months and months, thinking about the state of martial arts in the world and specifically in America. It's tragic. And here's the thing. I have a lot to say about it, yet admittedly I'm a novice. Even by any standards that you would measure a martial artist, I wouldn't even call myself intermediary. I would say I'm more toward a novice than any kind of intermediary. That being said, I think I know more about it than any instructor operating alive. And I would challenge anybody to that. And the reason I know more about it than anybody alive is because I know the philosophy. In and out, backwards and forwards, in my fucking sleep. And all they really, truly know, if they knew the philosophy, they wouldn't be training the kind of people they're training. If they knew the philosophy, but they don't. Okay? And I know so much more about the philosophy that it doesn't matter that I may not have the exact techniques down as smoothly and cleanly as other people. What has to come first is the same thing that has to come first in a relationship, which is principles. And if people are training people who are deadly agents of the state and potentially deadly agents of the state, the principles aren't there. You can say whatever the fuck you want about who you are, where you've been, who you've trained under, what you know, what you can do, but the principles aren't there. That's why I have to say I'm finished with all martial arts in the modern world, as they're taught. You know what it's like? It's like realizing that the Freemasonry lodge system is a complete failure and fraud. Imagine me going and joining a Masonic lodge. They're just as much dumb dog shit heads as every other fucking moron in the world. Why would I go and join their fucking lodge when I could teach all the lodge systems of this whole fucking planet and teach them 100 times more than they've ever been taught? What the fuck do I need to go into their lodge system for knowledge? I forgot more about Freemasonry than that lodge system will ever teach any of you fucking dog shit heads. I don't need your fucking lodge or all the drama and bullshit and nonsense that goes along with it and the kind of fucking people it attracts that don't want to fucking be there to learn about Freemasonry. They're there because of fucking money. It's the same thing with martial arts. You have nothing that you can teach me, quite frankly, except physical techniques. Well, that's not what martial arts is about in its totality. And the problem is, you haven't been taught the real philosophy behind it, or you wouldn't be training the people you're training. Just because they threw some fucking toilet fucking paper called money at you. That's why I'm done with any so-called esoteric lodges. I'm not a fucking joiner of your bullshit. Because that's all it is and ever has been. That's why I'm done with fucking the UFO community. You don't want to move outside your fucking little fucking box and understand that government, slavery, and authority is wrong. That's why I'm done with the free energy community. That community can go fuck itself too. I'm done with you guys because you don't want to fucking listen and learn. Authority is slavery. Authority is an illusion. Authority is immoral. All of it. Not some of it, all of it. And you don't want to learn. You've been given the opportunity to learn. You've had the fucking best teacher in the modern era to learn from. And you don't want to fucking learn. You want to tell me to go fuck myself. All you fucking people go fuck yourselves. I'll come back at you as hard with the ego as you bring it to me. When I've selflessly given him my time and energy to try to teach you the right fucking thing. And fuck the martial arts community too. I'll say it publicly. I don't care who knows, who hears me. You guys don't have your fucking moral philosophy under your belt either. And that's why all your efforts are doomed to failure. And that's exactly where you belong. You belong in the shitter. You belong in the toilet bowl. And you belong in the fucking grave, ultimately, as fucking failures that didn't accomplish what you wanted to do because you wouldn't come out of your fucking programmed satanic fucking mindset. Let's move on. Here's one of my favorite topics. Height as being seen as the most attractive characteristic of a man. You know, if God forbid, if you're a little closer to the ground than other people are, you're out. You know, there's the door. And once again, I want to say this once again, before I even get into this topic. The people who are the most resistant to learning it are guys. This presentation is more for men than it is for women. Because you guys are so fucking duped, played, and dumb. And you actually go along with the programming for women. And want to then say, it's either just the way it is and it's nature, or women are just, by their nature, evil and bad people. When neither one of those things is true. This is not nature. This does not mean that women are evil. This means human beings, as soon as they've come out of the womb, have been given poor programming. They have been given incorrect information, incorrect and immoral programming. And then that plays out as the quality of their behavior that they put out in life. And then you're too dumb to see it as programming, and you want to identify it as, that's just their biological characteristics, Mark. That's just their nature. And then they'll keep making apologies and excuses about what I'm going to call height derangement syndrome. This is height derangement syndrome. Okay? Imagine me saying, any woman above the height of 5'8", I want zero to do with because I'm intimidated by their height. Could you imagine that? Or any woman who's below 5 feet tall, I'm not going to consider a human being. I mean, picture that. First of all, what man has the same ideology when it comes to height that women display toward men. Imagine if I said, if you're not exactly 5 feet 5 inches tall, I don't want to speak to you or go on a date with you or, potentially consider you a partner. Well, what about all the women who are 5'4"? What about all the women who are 5'7"? What about all the women who are 5? How do you just disqualify anybody just because of a physical characteristic? In the first place, that's programming. So this is the section that I call Anunnaki programming. And again, for people to understand that's an extremely complicated and immense area of investigation and knowledge and data. And most people are programmed to completely ignore that, or to think it's not real, or think I don't need to look into that, or to think studying that's going to really teach me nothing of real import. So this section is called Anunnaki programming. Does size really matter? And again, that's meant to be, a funny pun joke, relating to penis size versus height. Height is one of the top factors in the minds of programmed women when it comes to desires in male characteristics. As a matter of fact, it's not one of. It's the top. If you look at attractiveness studies and you look at questions that are asked to women about the most important factors that they are looking for in a man, honesty doesn't even come first. Morality's nowhere in the equation at all. Zero. Intelligence is way down on the list. Money, way up on the list. Even above money is height. Height is number one. Money and job is number two. Think about that. Think about what I just said there. Almost all programmed women through the Satanic Epi-Eugenics Neo-Feminism agenda will not even consider a man, even if he's enormously wealthy, as a good potential partner or mate if he's under a certain height. So height is the first factor in what a woman is looking for in a man. Proven by numerous studies over the years of what women are saying they want in a potential mate or partner. Height is number one, money is number two. Once again, intelligence is way down on the list of characteristics. They'll say they want honesty or loyalty. Loyalty is usually number three. Then they'll say honesty, because almost no one enjoys being lied to, except when they don't really say that they don't know that they're being lied to, but are. Then they love it. They love all the lies that go along with social engineering, and they want to then say, this is just how I am. This is my real, genuine self. These are my real interests and my real likes and dislikes and preferences, etc. No, you've been handed them, and you've been given that mind by the social engineers. And all the guys that don't want to acknowledge that's what's going on, you're the dumb fucking morons who are getting raped by it the worst. You cuck bitches. So height is actually first, then money, then loyalty, and then if it even enters into the picture, you might hear honesty, then intelligence, and then way down, almost non-existent, is, are they truly a moral human being? Do they really know the difference between right and wrong? Religion is up higher in the list, probably right near honesty, because there's still a lot of religiously programmed dolts out there. This world is fucked, people. It's fucked because of what we believe and how we've let our perceptions be completely fucking skewed by Satanists. And that's what people are not only captured by it, they're not only enthralled by it, they love it, they enjoy it, they writhe in it, they can't get enough. They can't get enough hurt. They can't get enough torture. They can't get enough trauma. They can't get enough abuse. They can't get enough victimizing. They love it. They're like, bring the fire truck and give me the fucking hose of abuse. Give me the satanic truck with the hose of fucking endless abuse. Jam it in the throat. Turn that motherfucker on full blast. That's how much they crave their own annihilation, because they hate, deep down inside their fucking black-hearted souls, they hate their motherfucking selves so bad that you couldn't have a more white-hot burning flame of hatred if you tried. They hate themselves, and they want all the fucking torture and abuse that they're going through. It's some sick, perverted aspect of self-loathing that puts people into that mindset. And one of the ways they're completely addicted to their master's bidding, and that what their master wants them to think is that a person who's taller and further away from the ground is somehow better and more desirable. Height being one of the top characteristics that women say they want in a potential partner. And I say, why should this necessarily be so? Are taller men more moral, more intelligent, more skillful, more knowledgeable, more capable? No. The answer is that people perceive height as powerful and therefore desirable. This is working on something called a nested desire. It's a nested desire for something from the primordial past. This is like the section that I explained far, far early on in the What on Earth is Happening podcast series called The Exploitation of Our Primal Fears. Well, this is the exploitation of our primal desires and attractions. You could call this fatal attraction. Because what they're really attracted to is not anything that really truly contributes to moral betterment, spiritual betterment, true evolution of the species. They're attracted to something that has been historically perceived as being a part of the power structure. And that's what the conditioned woman wants. Control, power over others, authority, command. That's why women are being masculinized to replace what they consider to be in the Neo-Feminism movement, the patriarchy, which they actually believe is the control system. I just watched a movie that contained all of these nested themes called Poor Things. And let me tell you something. You want to talk about a masterpiece of Neo-Feminism, satanic mind control injected into the population. And then they're taking the dump truck full of fucking cow shit, of fertilizer fucking dung, and they're dumping Marxism on top of the already existing poison. Just taking a whole truckload of cow pies and dropping them in. That's the Marxism they're sprinkling on the fucking cake. I mean, they combined just about every aspect of satanic feminism in this film. From the patriarchy, every man trying to control and exploit me, there being no good men, cucking men who possibly could be loyal but aren't as ruthless as others, and then mixing all of that in with Marxist and socialist ideology. I think everybody should see it. And if you don't recognize what poisonous forms of mind control are nested in that movie, you're not paying attention to anything that's going on in the world, and certainly do not understand what I've been talking about here on What on Earth is Happening. People don't get it. That's why the Eve character in biblical text is portrayed that way. This is about Satanism coming to the woman first to then lure the man in. and hence own the family, but more importantly, own the relationship dynamic. That's the familial bond that I'm talking about. This is an allegory. And we should not be seeing Eve/Lilith as the positive aspect of this. That's not to say somehow dominate and control and look at females as negative, or look at them as fallen, or look at them as of just evil nature. That's the MGTOW approach to this, which they're completely off on their analysis. They want to think this is just the nature of the female, and we should just completely drop out of society, have nothing to do with it. Certainly don't try to change it, because how could you change the nature of something? See, this is the wisdom that has to come from clearly delineating and being able to discern what is simply the way that it is and what can be changed. That's the prayer of serenity. It's not about just me being able to change it. It's about knowing that which can be changed versus that which cannot be changed. You know, the word I is not in the original prayer of serenity. When it comes to what I can change and what I can't change, it's that which can never be changed versus that which must be changed. You see the difference in quality from the real version of it to the one that got perverted and watered down and spread into the 12-step programs, which are also something that, because they don't really have the underlying moral principle under their belt truly, that they're not ever really long-term going to be successful, and why I don't really champion those. So let's get back onto the track of talking about where this comes from. This obsession with height derangement syndrome, present in the conditioned and mind-controlled and socially engineered woman of modern society, is all about desire for power and latching on to something that is a primordial symbol of power from the ancient past. Namely, that the most powerful, the most dominant, the most seen as gods even in our ancient societies were these beings that came here from the very, very ancient past, more likely than not hundreds of thousands of years ago, not just tens, genetically manipulated our species not only once but multiple times, created us as a slave species to do their bidding, regardless of what you think the nature of that work or bidding was, and then largely took off. And I say largely because I wouldn't be entirely certain that perhaps a small faction of them still remains and breeds and continues to look at this planet as belonging to them, and all the beings on it being their property, their slaves, their workers. We wouldn't know because of the advancement of their technology. It would be of probably close to a type 2 civilization on the Kardashev scale, and that would be indistinguishable from complete magical operations to us. We wouldn't even see it as technology. It would be considered some type of spiritual, supernatural happenings or devices. And that's what happens when you have a divide between civilizations, such as ours and theirs, on the Kardashev scale of civilizations and their capabilities. One civilization would look supernatural to the other. Namely, the more advanced would look supernatural to the far less advanced. These beings ultimately were like our gods in the ancient past. The biblical writings are basically about them and not the true God of creation. The New Testament is more dealing with the God of creation than this Old Testament God that was more likely than not a conglomeration of the characteristics of the Anunnaki. And they were seen as the most powerful, unchallenged rulers that have ever existed on the face of this planet to human beings. That is why enormous size, specifically in height, is important. and identified with power and authority. These beings were, many of them, far over 10 feet in height. And then when interbreeding with human beings, either genetically or sexually, they bred beings that were, 8, 9 feet tall. And far, far stronger than a human being. This is the progeny known as the Nephilim. The originals being the Anunnaki. So you have, in the very ancient past, extremely tall creatures, some of them over 12 feet tall, and then interbreeding with human beings, creating the Nephilim hybrids between their genes and human beings through either genetic procreation or sexual procreation. And height always being identified with them being the most powerful, the most technologically advanced, having the most authority, often money and resources in all of human society. And that is nested. Again, this is nested desire, nested perceived attractiveness, nested perceived power. In our ancient past, passed down over the centuries through the living memory of our DNA, and then played upon by all of the things women are told to find attractive in a man. Even the term, the triune term, tall, dark, and handsome. They would put tall before handsome, which I'm not saying is the ultimate standard, but tall certainly comes first there. Whether women prefer darker or lighter men and, handsome or more rugged, whatever. Tall still comes first. The answer is that people perceive height as powerful and therefore desirable. And this comes from the nested perceptions that have been instilled into us because of our dealings with the species that we dealt with in the origins of humanity, the Anunnaki, from the ancient past. This fact can be observed in the height of politicians, CEOs, and other people in positions of power throughout our society. But why should this even be so? Why will CEOs, owners of companies, they have a far higher than normal average height, which we could talk about what the average height of a man in all the entire world is. Why should this even be so? Should height make anyone more qualified for leadership in any way? This is all nested Anunnaki programming. If someone's taller than me, does that mean they know more than me? Does that mean they're more qualified than me? Does that mean that they're wiser than me? Does that mean that they're more moral than me? Does that mean they could do a better job? Maybe if you're a basketball player, you could do a better job. But that doesn't mean anything regarding true leadership in our world. That's all for basically, you might be possibly a better fighter. You might possibly be a better wrestler. And again, if somebody really knows martial arts, height means nothing. Height can often get you in more trouble, depending on your center of gravity. It's always adaptable and ways to get around all of it. If you know the techniques to do it, the striking methods, the strategies behind it, how to be smart. A smaller woman could take out any one of these politicians shown here if she knows what she's doing with martial arts techniques. No, it would be, honestly, no problem if she's really trained. So why would any factor other than intelligence, skill, and morality play into whether somebody's going to be a good leader? First, you should have morality, number one. Forget anything else before that. If somebody's going to display any leadership characteristics, then what do you know? How knowledgeable are you about solving real problems and how to? Instead of proposing the bullshit solutions that these shitheads propose that you're seeing on this slide. then maybe you should have the skill to actually implement those things, to be able to fulfill the requirements to what the solutions demand. That has nothing to do with how far away from the ground anybody is. Sorry to burst all the bubble of the taller guys out there, but it happens to be true. And once again, that's who hits you with the deepest programming, in all honesty. It's often deeper than the programming that is geared toward women, is the programming I see most dumb fucking cucked guys under, that don't understand any of the dynamics I'm talking about in this presentation. And that's why they don't have any fucking sense of real power. You don't have any real fucking power because you're so fucking dumb. You don't know what's been done to you. You don't understand the psychological programming. You don't understand the social engineering because you're so fucking dumb. You could not even fucking speak with one of your fucking masters. They're so fucking way smarter than you. They are so far advanced compared to the level of the advancement of your fucking dull-witted mind that you will never defeat them. You will never defeat them. They are so much more intelligent than you that you don't have a chance. It's like an ant trying to defeat a fucking human being by themselves in a one-on-one encounter. Look at that encounter as how fucking infinitely dumber the average cucked fucking dumb dog shit dolt-brained guy in our society is compared to the master who fucking owns him. You have no chance of defeating these people in your ignoramus state. You gotta work for years and fucking years to get out of your dull-witted shit for brains state of mind. Because you don't know how these satanic fucking overlords operate and the level of chess that they're fucking playing compared to your dumb fucking shit ape mind. These are the average heights of CEOs and politicians, 6'1", 6'2", 6'3", 6'5". The average height of people, of men in the world, is something like 5'8" tall or 5'9" tall, something like that. 12% of all men in the world are 6.0 feet or above. Let me say that again. People don't even understand this. 12% of all men on this planet, 12, are actually at or above 6 feet 0 inches tall. So think about it. Almost every single woman on the planet will list a guy being 6 feet or higher as desirable, and almost every guy being under that ruled out. I'm 5'11", so I didn't make the cut, you know? And it's just unbelievable that this is how deeply nested this programming is and how ancient it is. It's ancient. It's primordial. It goes back to our origins and who we perceive as our gods. And then everybody they'll attack Sitchin. They'll say, oh, this is all nonsense. It's not about Sitchin. Every ancient culture in the whole fucking earth wrote about it, you dumb shit. You don't go back to the source material. You haven't read any of that material. Most people haven't even read something as essential to this topic as like the Book of Enoch, let alone delving into ancient Vedic texts and ancient Irish texts and ancient Norse texts and, on and on and on. They haven't read the Upanishads. They haven't read the Eddas or the Popol Vuh even. And just all of the interactions that human beings described in every single culture that has ever existed as interaction with these godlike beings. It's not fantasy. It's not allegory. Biblically, they're talked about. Why are they called Elohim? Why is that plural? They weren't talking about the God of creation. The Elohim is the gods. They're talking about the Anunnaki. And this is the reason height is perceived as important and powerful. The people who walked among us claiming to be our gods because they genetically modified us into the beings we currently are were extremely tall. And so, deeply nested in our ancestral DNA, that comes out as specifically women identifying that with power, which is what they've been taught to crave by the social engineers, and gravitating toward men who are further away from the ground than those who are not. This is probably one of the biggest examples of how deeply nested programming is and can become through social engineering. Let's move on. The number one attractiveness characteristic listed by most women as desirable in a potential male partner is repeatedly and consistently demonstrated to be height. In many cases, a man's true moral value system is considered only as a secondary factor, if at all. Almost all women on modern online dating sites insist upon knowing a man's height prior to meeting in person. Imagine that. They don't even want to talk to a male if they don't know how tall he is first on online dating. Most women will even post their own height, as they perceive it as so important that many of them actually believe that men are obsessed about it, as are they. I can tell you, I don't know one guy, and I've been around a lot of guys in my life and hung out with a lot of guys in my life. I don't know one guy that goes, yeah, if I don't know her height, I'm not going to go out and have some coffee with her. Sorry, that ain't happening. I got to know her height first. I don't know one guy that's going to go, wow, that woman there, she's very, very attractive. She's gorgeous even, and I would really like to get to know her, but damn, she's 5'5", and I only date women above 5'6" or 5'8". I don't know one guy ever that I ever met that's what's important to him. You could say looks might be important, and most of the guys I tend to hang around aren't even seeing that first and foremost. Of course, that's going to be important, but most that I prefer to hang around would say, is she a good person? Is she really moral? Does she really know the difference between right and wrong? Is she about human freedom instead of destroying it? Those are the characteristics most of the guys I tend to surround myself with and want to spend any time with and want to surround myself with. That's the way they think. Not immediately like, oh, she has to be a 9 out of 10 minimum. Or, 5'8" instead of 5'5" or 5'3". I like to think that truly enlightened people aren't that superficial. Not trying to say that there can't be things that have to be somewhat present as far as attractiveness is concerned. Otherwise, were you going to be in a relationship, about if you're not attracted to the person, then that's going to play a definite divisive dynamic. And what I'm just trying to say is that certain forms of attraction are natural, and they follow a natural progression and a natural curve if you attempted to gather the data of what people find attractive and plot it on a graph, versus what is skewed and programmed characteristics of attractiveness. I'd say, something like breast size in women is a very skewed, socially engineered, perceived characteristic when it comes to men. If that's what guys are looking for, it's like, or any other focusing on just a physical characteristic is a very programmed dynamic, because men have been conditioned and shown things and say, and then they're geared to say those things are more attractive. But guess what? I think even in the modern world, women are more obsessed with things like that because they believe that's what men want. Once again, I tend not to hang out with or even know a lot of guys that it's like, if she's not at least a D cup, forget about it. I mean, I don't see guys putting that out there. I see more women thinking that that's what it's ultimately that guys want. And then they feel self-conscious if they're not, more well endowed in that aspect. This is the same thing as women being obsessed with height. If you wouldn't say that being obsessed with height is just as on par, if men are obsessed with breast size, then I think you're being disingenuous and lying above all to yourself. Of course these are socially engineered dynamics about attractiveness. Can you pause my microphone for 1 second, please? Sorry, folks. Just wanted to let my producer know something. So, on forums that I have been on, and obviously the person who made this meme has been on many forums. I tend, not so much today, but in the past, especially when I was researching this presentation, I really lurked in a lot of women's forums. Okay, create an account, go on the forum, lurk in the forum, really read about what's being said, what the everyday milieu of the forum is, where their mindset is at, and just read and observe. And boy, oh boy, I mean, if anybody really wants to be enlightened, or do the same with men's forums, do the same with forums that are for men or men's rights or women's rights or feminist. I mean, there's no shortage of them because almost everybody's fucking all brainwashed and programmed with this bullshit, with their bullshit religions, which is what all of it is. The MGTOW movement, MGTOW movement, whatever the fuck you want to call it, they're programmed with their religious delusions. The feminist movement, they're programmed with their religious delusions. There's no such thing as men's rights, folks. There's no such thing as women's rights. There's human rights. There's rights. Period. They're not different for men. They're not different for women. A right is an action that does not initiate harm to another sentient being. Don't do violence unto others. Don't steal that which does not belong to you. Period. That's all of morality in a nutshell. So I was doing a lot of lurking in women's forums, particularly when I was researching this presentation to gather some data. And this was not taken from a women's forum, but it's things that I heard repeatedly said over and over. I mean, vile hatred to the short in women. I mean, tall women, they spewed so much vile hate for short women because they're like, I can't stand it when I see a short woman with a tall guy. The tall guys are for us. Blurting it all over these women's forums. And there's so much socially engineered hate for anybody you even see as you're taking something from me just by how you are. I mean, if this dynamic were as promoted as even racism is in society, which is bad enough, there's so much more hate toward tall women to shorter women in our society that if you research it, you'd be amazed and appalled. Amazed and appalled by it. The things I read in forums don't even do this justice. They were practically advocating for murder of the short. Okay? That's how bad it is. And this meme captures that dynamic. I hate when short girls date tall guys. Us tall girls need them instead. They were almost literally saying that the most socially engineered characteristic, height, that's reserved for me because I have it, and then I need to be paired with that. And how dare you take away the proportions? I gotta have that 12%. That 12% belongs to me, you see. It may be only 12%, but because I'm of a certain height, that 12% belongs to those in the female female population that are close to them in stature. Imagine this. I mean, imagine the entitlement. If a guy likes who he likes or a woman likes who they like, that's what matters. But I'm talking about something that is so socially conditioned. I mean, I've literally heard people say, I won't even look at somebody outside of my race. I've heard people say, I won't look at somebody if they are over a certain amount of weight. I won't even look at somebody if they're under a certain amount of weight. I won't even look at somebody if they're not my nationality. I won't look at somebody if they're not this tall or that tall. These are, again, boxes for consciousness. They're boxes for consciousness. I'm not saying there's no such thing as natural attraction, because of course there is. What I'm saying is when you see something completely skewed like this, you can bet your balls on it. It's social engineering. It's programming. It's there for a reason. They want competition based on something that is scarce, whether it's naturally scarce or artificially made scarce. They want people hating each other. They want division within the same sex because they want everybody atomized and dependent upon and eventually conquered and eventually enslaved and eventually culled by the state. That's the progression. They want you weak-minded. They want you bodily weak. They want you dumb as a bag of dog shit. They want you conquered. They want you enslaved. And they want you fucking culled because there are too many of you and you're like fucking ants fucking infesting a fucking farmhouse. And now it's time for the big fucking can of fucking spray to come out. That's all the social engineering. That's all the fucking poison everywhere. That's the fucking fake news. That's the fake medical system. That's the fake educational system, the fake bullshit political system, the fake monetary system, all of it to poison, weaken, and eventually kill your fucking dumb ape ass. Dumb shit ape laughingly called a human being. You shouldn't insult the concept of a human being by comparing it with the mind-controlled trolls that are lurking behind every fucking blade of grass. Don't even use the term human being when it comes to that. Use something like troglodyte shit ape. Okay? Because that's closer to what they really are. Here's the entire chart of average heights in the world. While most socially engineered women claim that they would prefer as a potential partner a man who is 6 feet tall or taller, the actual percentage of males in the total human population that are 6 feet 0 inches or taller is exactly 12%. Average height 5'6" overall worldwide. Okay? Average height in Australia, the United Kingdom, and France, 5'9". Average height in Canada, Russia, Italy, 5'9.5", 5'9.5". Brazil, Argentina, Portugal, 5'8.5". Mexico, 5'7". Japan, 5'7.5". China, 5'6". India, 5'5". South Africa, 5'6.5". United States, Italy, Greece, and Spain, average height 5'10". Norway, average height 6. Why do you think that is? Yeah, it has nothing to do with the Anunnaki and the Nephilim subsequently settling in the far north, what we called Hyperborea in the ancient past. Beyond the north. No, nothing whatsoever to do with the races of giants that were, written about. And they made poetry and religious texts about them and told of their battles and their exploits and their dealings with human beings. It has nothing to do with that. It's all just ancient children's bedtime stories. It has nothing to do with anything. Yeah. And most people will watch my cosmic abandonment presentation and say, oh, that's nothing but conjecture and based on Sitchin stuff. And he was proven to be falsifying things. And, it's all to get you not to look at the ancient past, folks. Because if you don't understand that there's another species that has to do with our development as what we laughingly call human beings, you don't understand anything about what's really going on today at all. You just don't get it. And you're not going to get it. Because it takes years and years to do research that is deep and eclectic in that, and not just watch some dumb fucking UFO show that shows you ultimately nothing, on the History Channel or something. But to really delve into the ancient accounts and to really go into the grammar of that matter, into the actual data, takes years of scholarly research and separating out what really happened and what's true, because it's fragmentary. We don't have the complete picture, but you can still get a fragmentary, pretty damn decent picture of what happened here. It's possible. You gotta want it. You gotta work at it. It's stuff like that. It's all on the arc, but you gotta work to really dig through it and use your discernment to really understand it. So the question looms, why exactly do women place such staggering import upon male height, a factor that does not make any man more moral, more intelligent, more skillful, or even necessarily physically stronger than males of average or below height? Once again, that could come from muscle tension, development of the upper and lower body, center of gravity, more dense bone structure, more dense, muscle and tendon development, etc. So many factors go into that. You could find a guy who's 5'6", 5'7", and he's going to be like a pit bull, way stronger than a lanky guy who might be 7 feet tall. Be able to tear him apart. And so people argue, the taller you are, the more of a protector you are. That's not necessarily true in any culture or society ever. In the history of humanity, that's not necessarily true. Then you add the ability to use weaponry, you use true martial arts techniques, that have been developed over all of the millennia that human beings have existed. And then you add weaponry, especially modern weaponry, into the equation. Size really doesn't mean much. Because a 104-pound woman can take out a 45 ACP and blow the head right off of a 7'2" dude that weighs 450 pounds. Won't matter. It ain't going to matter, because I don't care how tall you are, your skull ain't stopping a 45 ACP hollow point. You see? So, in the modern day, you would think, this dynamic's certainly not as important as other dynamics. But no, it still persists as the leading one in the mind of the conditioned female. Specifically because they identify this with the gods of the ancient world. Height is perceived as unchallenged authoritative power, and that's in our ancestral DNA from our ancient past. And our quote-unquote creators. They would like to be identified as our gods. They're not gods. They bleed. They get hurt. They die like everybody else. It just takes them longer if they don't actually get, hurt and killed. But their lifespans measure in the tens of thousands of years. For the Nephilim, probably in the several hundred to several thousand. And then they kept genetically engineering us down to the point where our DNA of our lifespan taps out at 120 years. And that's for the most fortunate to ever even get to that age. So, height does not make someone more moral, more intelligent, more skillful, or even necessarily stronger than males of average or below average height. Once again, the Darwinists will come out from under the woodwork and trot out their tired and boring survival of the fittest theory nonsense to explain this. This is not biological progression. This is not evolution. This is not something that is just biologically instilled. This is something that is socially instilled, specifically because of the unchallenged power that the so-called gods of the ancient world exercised over all of humanity. And once again, I'm not asking you to believe it. I'm asking you to study it. And all of the people who talk on this topic that I've ever met, they talk firmly from way up inside their own assholes is where they talk from. I mean, every word that pours out of their fucking gullet is coming from deep inside their own ass. They talk with no research, all out of opinion. And then they want to attack what I say on the matter when they've done not 1 millisecond of actual research of the data, going back to source material from every culture on this fucking earth. But they want to say their bullshit, ill-read, uninformed opinion is just as good as my years of hard-won knowledge with unimaginably deep fucking work, effort, and time put into the study of it. This is the satanic fucking egotism of the people of this earth. That I could look into something for thousands of hours and another jerk-off come up, never having looked at it for 1 millisecond, and say they know more about the topic than I do. Your mother knows more about it than I do. That's what I'm saying. I just can't take dumb people who think they're intelligent anymore. The Dunning-Kruger effect is everywhere around me. I can't take it. Every fucking room I walk into, it's nothing but dumb people that I know 100,000 fucking times more than all of them combined. That's a lonely, tragic fucking place to find yourself. I'm tired of it. Because this species should be moving on. They should be getting this. This should be becoming common sense, and they should move on. And they can't, and because they can't, I can't. That's why I'm so fucking bitter. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this for the rest of my fucking life. And I have to, as a moral responsibility, because these fucking dumb fucking shit apes on this planet aren't fucking learning and growing in the progression that they should. And that affects my life and what I want to do with it while I'm here. This is the presentation that I gave back in, I believe it was 2014, I'm going to say. Cosmic Abandonment, an explanatory synthesis regarding human origins, psychopathy, slavery, and the current psychological and social conditions of humanity. Let me read the title again, especially the subtitle, because this is really what this presentation is. I'm very proud of how this presentation came out, even though it was relatively short form for me. But what I compacted into a short amount of time is extremely powerful and will get people started, at least started on their way to researching this very complicated understanding. Cosmic Abandonment, an explanatory synthesis. Now, I'm not saying every single thing is true. This is a synthesis, meaning a bringing together of all kinds of eclectic data and research regarding human origins. All of the creation epics and stories told by hundreds of different cultures over the years, over the centuries. It's an explanatory synthesis toward why psychopathy exists. The condition of certain people not feeling anything, having their emotions not even there at all, from birth in many cases. Sometimes it's not from birth. That's called secondary psychopathy. When someone seemingly from a very young age is born and they can't experience the true range of human emotions, that's a primary psychopath. The second kind is called a secondary psychopath, which the emotions are eventually dulled out and perhaps numbed out altogether because of a human being's experiences in life. And over time, their midbrain becomes damaged and not really providing the full range of human emotions. That is called secondary psychopathy. It's an explanatory synthesis regarding slavery, especially modern-day covert slavery, namely through government. And it's an explanatory synthesis regarding the current psychological and social conditions of humanity. Why we're in the mind states, the states of the psyche that we dwell and exist in as a species, and our social conditions, which is the human condition of slavery through government. This is what this presentation postulates, an explanatory synthesis regarding. When you put all of these factors together, these are the things that led to it being the way that it is now. I am trying to explain all of human history in this presentation that is of any true importance. You know, the movie based on the book by Arthur C. Clarke and directed by Stanley Kubrick, 2001, A Space Odyssey. One of my favorite movies of all time. And the thing that I love that it does in the movie is it dismisses everything from the creation of the first weapons and the first violence done with them by our proto-hominid ancestors, all the way up to the space age when man finally develops the cosmic mind, becomes the cosmic child of the universe, and eventually becomes truly enlightened and then can go off into vistas of consciousness as yet unexplored. I love that Kubrick, in his brilliance, when the bone that the proto-hominoid throws up in the air after, cracking some animal's skull with it, is twisting and turning and tilting, and excuse me, it turns into a space station. And that is just basically ignoring every other factor in all of human history deliberately. That's ignoring every sociological and historical event that has ever occurred and saying, from this moment, nothing else mattered until you got to this moment. And that's the story he's telling in 2001. And it's brilliant. If people haven't seen it, they certainly should, and they should make strides to understand it. So that's the presentation. And I'm saying here as a matter of needing to study this Anunnaki programming, social engineering aspect of Neo-Feminism and the Satanic Epi-Eugenics agenda further. The true answer will require much more research and a total re-evaluation of human history from the version of history we have all been conditioned to accept, which is this linear progression from a non-developed civilization up through a more advanced developed civilization, which is so false on its face that it's completely laughable. If people think our current conditions developed in a linear progression, in a linear way, you're so delusional. And this is what most asinine, left-brain, egg-headed scientists think, that they have the correct version of history based on all the fucking lies and bullshit put out there by almost all of the archaeologists and anthropologists over time who are, let me tell you something. Those early archaeologists that did try to dig into our ancient past, boy, did they get fucking steamrolled, co-opted, killed if they didn't cooperate, bought off, and the amount of bullshit put out by them over the years that then subsequently completely entrenched, got completely entrenched into anthropology as well and other sciences. Forget about it. It's just devastating to the field of true historical recovery of our ancient past and our origins. See my presentation, Cosmic Abandonment, for more information on these specific occulted topics. And folks, like I said, you have to do eclectic digging. This isn't something that you read one book and you say, well, I accept that, I got that figured out. Or you read one book and you say, no, I don't believe that, it's all nonsense. You have to do digging and digging and digging and digging into an enormous data set. And you got to take it all in. You got to make the time and the effort and the willpower to take that all in so that you can really understand what has happened here and is now still continuing to happen here. So, folks, I think that's all the time we're going to have for this edition of What on Earth is Happening. I think it went really well in this session, and I hope you guys will really consider this topic and research it much further on your own into the future. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you right here next week.